Hi, hello, and welcome to Lily's Library. So today we are going to be going through all of the books I read in March and all of the books on my April TBR. So I actually managed to read 7 books in March, which is a really solid effort. I feel like I haven't really read that much in quite a while. I honestly don't really know how I used to be able to read like 9+ books a month, a few years ago. So this is a really good amount. A lot of these were novellas because of the Trans Rights Readathon, but yeah, overall it was a really great month. So I think we'll go through them all. So the first book I read was an audiobook, and that was Even Though I Knew the End. This is by C.L. Polk. This is a historical fantasy. I found this to be really cute and fun, albeit a bit predictable, but I don't think it was a bad thing that I could see where everything was going. But I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, this is a historical fantasy. We've got sapphic and queer representation in this as well, which I love. But in this we follow a young-ish woman, or a woman who has been tasked with solving these murders that are going on. These bodies are turning up with all the blood drained from them, and she's trying to piece together what's happened. And she ends up getting hired by this demon to try and find out what is going on, because someone is actually stealing the souls from these bodies and collecting them from this demon. So stealing the souls from the demon. And it's really interesting and intriguing the way everything unfolds. And our main character also has sold her soul to a demon. She's made a deal with one in order to do some stuff, which you'll find out if you read it. And basically, if she solves these murders, the demon will give her back her soul so she doesn't have to die. And I just found it to be really cute and sweet, and I definitely want to read more from C.L. Polk. This is my first book from them, and I just really enjoyed this, but it was super cute. Then the next book I read in March was City of Dragons by Robin Hobb, which is book 3 in the Rainwild Chronicles. I really enjoyed this. Overall, in a way, I think this is maybe my least favorite book so far. I'm not too sure, to be honest. I did really like it, but I feel like it was very much a filler. I loved how much we expanded upon Kelsingra and getting to see a lot more of that, but it very much did feel like it was building up to a lot of stuff, which isn't a bad thing. I just had hoped for a bit more to happen in it. But I had a really fun time with this, and I will definitely be continuing this quartet. It is sadly almost over, and yeah, I just really have been enjoying all of these books. I'd heard really mixed things about this series in particular. A lot of people said it was their least favorite, but I honestly am really enjoying it. I think because I just do love the Rainwild so much, and I love that this has got so many different characters in it. Like, we've got return characters that have been introduced purely in this book, as well as like a whole bunch of new characters in this series in general. And I just really love the way it is really exploring upon the Rainwilds, because it was something I was always desperate for more from in the other books, especially in the Live Ship Traders. So to finally have this is just so satisfying, and I really love it and can't wait to see where the last book goes. Then the next book I read was actually a memoir, and that was Finding Me by Viola Davis, and I really had such a great time with this. This is my favorite book from the month. It was just so impactful and emotional and beautiful and inspiring at the same time. Viola Davis is just such an incredible woman, and this really made me have so much more respect for her, and also for the theatre world and arts in general. And it was just such a fascinating and heartbreaking read at the same time. This is basically just a story of her life. It goes through her childhood, her kind of breaking into acting, and the twists and turns that takes her on, and it is just absolutely such an emotionally beautiful book. After that, I read the first 2 volumes of Boys Run the Riot. This is a really cute manga series. It's a YA sort of coming of age one, and in it we follow a young trans boy who is trying to find his identity and trying to navigate being a young guy in Japan, and a trans guy at that, and him kind of trying to explore that and to learn to come out to people and be his true self. It's really cute and fun and sweet. It does have some more difficult moments as well, and deals with quite some serious topics in it, but it is really enjoyable overall. We follow this guy as he gets roped into starting a fashion brand with a new kid in his class, and I'm definitely going to be continuing this series. There's only 4 volumes, so I'll just have to track down the other 2, but I really enjoyed these. These were for the Trans Rights Readathon. Then the second last book I finished reading was a buddy read with a friend, and that was The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I had really mixed feelings going into this one. I feel like it would be something I'd loved, because I love Samantha Shannon's other books, like The Roots of Chaos cycle. Yeah, The Roots of Chaos. But this one at first didn't really work out for me. I felt like it was very info dumpy, and the world building just wasn't done very well, but I did really enjoy it by the end of it. I loved the characters and their dynamics, and I loved the way that we really got to explore the setting and the world. I think once we really got to Oxford and had everything starting to be set up and more substantiated, I found it to be a lot more enjoyable. But at the beginning, it was just very much dumping all this information and moving moving so fast that it was kind of difficult to keep up with and see where anything was going, but I did really enjoy this and I will definitely be continuing the series. But if you haven't heard of these books, The Bone Season is a sort of dystopian fantasy series. In this world, we've got clairvoyants, people that have got different powers, and they are very much frowned upon in this Sion, which is a different version of London and England and stuff. Sion is very much this corrupt, controlling government that is trying to punish clairvoyants and abuse them, basically. They either get taken away and I guess killed, or they get forced to hunt other clairvoyants and be part of this kind of specific version of police or a guard. And I find it to be really fascinating the way that we look at the underworld of the clairvoyants, and I feel like we're going to be getting a lot more of that in the next books. This also had a lot to do with being Irish as well, and a lot of the treatment of Irish people and stuff by British people, really, and people from England, and it was very fascinating and not something I had expected to see in this book, but I did have a really good time with it in the end. Then the last book I ended up reading was Finna by Nino Supri. This is book 1 in a duology. These are both novellas. I was hoping to read book 2 as well, but I honestly don't know if I'm going to now, just because this didn't really work out for me. I don't know what it was, but I just really struggled to pick it up again. It's very short, like it's a novella, it's only like 100 and something pages, but there was just nothing that really kept me engaged or kept me wanting to go back and finish it, which really sucks. I do find that occasionally with novellas that they feel like such a slog to get through for some reason, and I'm very disappointed by it because it sounded like such an interesting concept. But these books are sci-fis. In book 1, we are set in a kind of like shopping center that's kind of like an IKEA, like a department store, but there's like these alternate realities and portals to other worlds that open up, and our two main characters have to go through those other worlds to try and find this customer that has gone missing. And it's really funny and interesting seeing the way it all unfolds, but I just don't know, it just didn't hook me in, which is really disappointing. But I think a lot of people will really enjoy this. Like, so many people I know absolutely love these novellas, but it just wasn't it for me, unfortunately. But yeah, that was the last book I read for the Trans Rights Readathon. I was hoping to read a bit more, but it just didn't end up working out that way. But I have another book I've started that I'll talk about later that will still count towards my donation for the Trans Rights Readathon. I will just be donating $25 to an Australian charity. I'm picking Transcend, which is a Australian organisation. I was tossing up between doing something locally or doing something in the US, but I think this year I am just going to keep it locally, just because we've got a lot of issues in Queensland specifically and other places in Australia with it. So I would like to try and support people here, but there is lots of other great organisations in the US that you can support as well. But that was all my reading from March. We're going to get into my April TBR. I'll actually start with the book I'm currently reading, which was a carryover from the Trans Rights Readathon. So the first book I'm hoping to finish and read is The Battle Drum by Sarah El-Arifi. This is book 2 in the Ending Fire trilogy. I read book 1 like nearly 2 years ago now, and I really enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying this one as well. I am almost halfway, not quite, but I'm getting there. This is just quite a long book. I probably could have read it a bit faster, but I was just struggling with reading towards the end of the month, so I didn't really get to make much progress in it. But this was one of my picks for the Trans Rights Readathon that I will be carrying on with and will still be included in that donation that I just spoke about. But this is a fantasy series. It's set in a world where the color of your blood determines your place and rank in society. So we've got Embers, who are red-blooded. They are kind of the more ruling class and the wealthy and everything. You've got Dusters, who have blue blood. They're your working class and the labourers. And then we've got Ghostings, who have transparent blood and are basically the maids and the cleaners and the servants. And because of a sin they committed centuries ago when this kingdom was being formed, all Ghostings have their hands cut off at birth and have their tongues cut out so they can't communicate. And it's really horrifying, the treatment of so many people in this book, but it's really so unfortunately real to what our world is like, and it's just such an insane series. I've really enjoyed it so much. We've got lots of queer representation in this, and we've also got a trans main character, hence my selection of it for the Trans Rights Readathon. But we've got so much just amazing representation in it, and I love how normalized everything is, whether that is someone being queer or whether that is them being trans, and I just really love that part of it. But I will be continuing this and reading it, and then I'm hoping next month I can get to the 3rd book and finish this trilogy. Then I'm just going to go down the rest of the stack because we've got some other chunky books, but I'll leave them for later. But I've got another book that was going to be part of my Trans Rights Readathon TBR, but I just didn't get around to, and that is After the Siren. This is by Darcy Green. They're an Australian author, and this is their debut. It is a sports romance. It's queer, it's gay. I'm so excited for it. I've heard such good things, but all I know is that this is, yeah, a gay sports romance featuring Australian AFL players, which I'm very excited about. I haven't read an AFL book before. I'm not really a fan of AFL. I've never really watched it, but I'm very much excited to be giving this one a go. It sounds really fun. Then continuing with my 12 books in 12 months April TBR. The Battle Drum is actually part of that. I didn't end up reading a book in March off of that list, so I'm hoping to get to 2 this month, so the Battle Drum will be included for that. And then next, I'm thinking of reading Human Acts by Hong Kong. I picked this purely because it is the shortest on my TBR for the year, and I feel like it's something that'll kind of break up some of the other books I'm reading this month. But this is I guess a historical fiction kind of. It's set in the midst of a violent student uprising in South Korea. This book is actually what Hong Kong won the Nobel Prize for, and I've only read one of her books, which is The Vegetarian, and I've been wanting to read this forever, and I actually bought this copy in Korea, so I feel like it'll be nice to read it now. I feel like it's going to be a lot and very emotionally devastating, but I'm very intrigued by it and will hopefully be reading it soon. Then I've been really feeling like reading a horror lately, so I decided to add Vampires of El Norte by Isabella Canas. I've heard such incredible things about this. So many people I know on TikTok and Instagram absolutely love this book and rave about it all the time, and I'm just so excited for it. I don't really know too much about it. It just kind of says star-crossed lovers face off on the Texas-Mexico border in the supernatural western. It just sounds really cool, and I've been really wanting another vampire and horror book, and I absolutely love this cover. And again, I've just heard such incredible things about this author, so I think now is the perfect time for me to get to this one. Then I will also be reading another Robin Hobb book, and that will be Blood of Dragons, which is the 4th and final book in the Rainwild Chronicles. This is obviously set just after the events of City of Dragons. I'm really excited yet nervous for this one. This is also a bit longer than I thought it would be. It's like 530 something pages. So I'm gonna try and get to it as soon as I can, so I can read it earlier in the month and maybe focus the rest of the month on some of the other chunky books. But I'm very excited to see where this quartet goes and how it all wraps up. I'm also kind of thinking of maybe taking a mini break on my Robin Hobb Realm of the Elderlings read through in May. I might pause for a month or two and then read the final trilogy at the end of the year, just because it's been so long, and I'm also kind of getting nervous and sad about it ending, so I might try and delay that. But if you are reading this series as well and you would like to read with us, I'm hosting a reading club over on Fable, a book club on Fable. The link is down below if you want to join, but we are the Farseer Readers, and April, our book is Blood of Dragons, but all the other Robin Hobb books are there for you to go and add your comments to if you want to. Then the next book is one I think will take me the whole month, if not all of next month as well, and that is The Strength of the Few by James Islington. This is the sequel to The Will of the Many. I actually started reading this at the end of last year because I went to the midnight launch for this book and actually got it signed and got to meet the author, which is pretty incredible and pretty cool, but I was just so intimidated by it and I just really wasn't in the right mood to be reading this. But I am doing a buddy read with three of my friends over on Book Talk and everything, so we will be going through this together. I feel like everyone's going to be taking it pretty slow, so I feel like that'll be good for pacing wise and also help motivate me to read more of it. But I also feel like I've forgotten so much of The Will of the Many because I read it so long ago, so I think I need to rewatch a recap or read some recaps of it. But I have already read the first 3 chapters of it. I actually read the first 3 chapters at the end of last year, so I think I'm just going to keep going from where I am because I do remember enough of those 3 chapters to just kind of go from there. But this is a 700 and something page book, so I'm not expecting to be finishing it anytime soon, but I'm very excited. Then the final book on my TBR is one I'm really hoping to get to this month, or at the very least get to it before the 11th of May, and that is Catabasis, or Catabasis, however you want to say it, by R.F. Kuang. This is her newest book, and I'm very excited for this. I have been a little bit intimidated by it because so many people say it's confusing and you need to do all this pre-reading before it, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I just don't have the time or the energy to do that. But I am very excited to get to this one. And the reason I need to read it before May 11 or 12, I don't know, is because R.F. Kuang is actually doing a book talk in Brisbane, like in the city, about this book and about her books. And me and my sister are going to be going, so I would really like to try and read this before then, just so I can have a bit more of an understanding of everything. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. I don't remember exactly what it is about. I know it's kind of like a dark academia, and I guess it's a whole take on education and stuff like that, especially higher education, like we go into your masters and everything, and it's really a critique of that and also the layers of hell, which I'm just very excited for it. I've heard really good things, but I've also heard really bad things, but I feel like this will be something that I'll really enjoy. But those are all of the books I'm planning on reading. There's also some audiobooks I am currently listening to, which I'm just going to pace myself with, but I'm not going to talk about them here. I'll just talk about them once I actually finish them. But yeah, that is it for this week's video. Let me know what your favorite book you read in March was and the book you're most looking forward to reading in April. But yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all with a new video next time. Goodbye.